Hi, it's Warren Huart here. Hope you're doing marvellously well. Today I'm going to talk to the great, he wouldn't like me to say this, but the great Jack Douglas.
Oh, God.
See? Oh, God. So please stay tuned and listen to my interview with Jack. If you go down to the link below, producelikeapro.com, you can sign up for the email list and you can get exclusive content. We'll be sure to keep adding new stuff to that. You can also enter competitions to win various fun things. And of course, subscribe. I really appreciate you watching. Let's get to Jack. We're rolling apparently. So I'm here with the...
I don't hear any rolling. Should I hear rolling sounds? I don't know.
I think rolling... Yeah, no...
So, wait a minute. Let me ask you something.
Yeah,
Warren.
please.
This is Produce Like a Pro.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know any?
No. And,
I don't know any.
That's like the worst thing I've ever been accused of. You
I
know,
love this.
Really.
Yeah.
We used to have a joke about it, you know. Whenever someone didn't like a mix, we'd say, well...
Let's get a professional.
Why do you want
Yeah.
You know, really.
I agree entirely.
So, I don't know. It's been the longest hobby I've ever had.
That's wonderful.
I'm not sure what my actual thing is. I think it's bag boy at Ralph's. But
I thought it was EJ Cole.
that was,
yeah.
I got fired from that job.
You got fired from that job?
Yeah. Yeah, it was juvenile furniture, and then I got promoted to patio furniture.
Patio furniture.
Yeah, you know, which was much heavier than the juvenile. Juvenile furniture was light; you could move a crib around.
Right.
But out at the patio furniture, first of all, you were outdoors. It was freaking cold. It was definitely it wasn't a promotion. It was like send them out there. So I was like, I couldn't. They just said, you're gone. And I went on. I had a successful career picking strawberries. No, seriously, I did very well.
I believe it.
Yeah, and that is what I use to you know, in this thing.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, we're picking strawberries.
Right.
You know, and just putting them in a bushel basket and selling them. That's what we're doing.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and every once in a while you get a rotten strawberry, throw it away.
I do find that in a normal recording sessions, the only experts are the people that have been doing it for hardly any time whatsoever.
Oh,
They're the experts.
That's who I learned from. You know, they tell me, more 2K. Really? More 2K? What is this 2K anyway? Is it a cereal? I don't, but I don't, you know, you're absolutely right. It's, I want to be an amateur too, you know, so that's...
Right.
So I can...
So you can create something new.
Yeah. When they say 2K, I can be like a dick and just take away 2K. You know?
Right.
And be like, well, I'm an amateur and I'm vindictive. But I'm having fun. You having fun?
I'm definitely
Are you teaching people to have fun with this?
I'm teaching people to
Because if they start taking it seriously, like brain surgery or something, you know,
Right.
It's all wrong. It's all wrong. It's all about having fun. I mean, if you're not laughing in here, then you're crying, you know. And
I agree. The first proper video I did was about recording vocals.
yeah,
And I just stole all your ideas, of course.
huh?
And the
I
number
had
one...
an idea.
Yeah, but well, you don't put it into words. I just watch you do it.
Oh, okay.
And the number one thing I said was make the artist feel comfortable.
Yeah,
And by making the artist feel comfortable, especially when they're singing, is to take their mind off the fact that they're singing.
yeah, absolutely, and let them perform. You know, let them have a good. For the most part, I like to let my artists run through the whole, as much of the song as they can, you know, and so they can build a performance up, rather than, let's do every first line of the verse.
Right.
Wow, and then you slap it together and it's like, the whole thing is just on one level.
Right.
I learned that from watching really great singers work.
Sure.
And, you know, it comes from the Wayback Machine, because I'm sure somewhere in time they had to perform.
Right.
You know, like Bing Crosby had to perform. It wasn't
Sure.
like, we're going to punch in now on
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they had to perform, and so that work ethic went into the 50s, and then in the 60s it changed a little bit, but still performance was important. Sure. And so, you know, when working with a guy like Lennon,
right,
for him, it was still because he came up in the late 50s, early 60s. He was influenced by people who performed on records. And
Absolutely.
so he was a performance artist in the studio. He really, don't break my concentration. Let me just do the whole thing, and then you'll tell me what needs to be fixed. And
That's
we'll go
wonderful.
in and do it. And he'd be out there having a good time, and I would just, concentrate on the performance.
Right.
Which for me, when I went from engineer to, I get this all the time. Don't you engineer your own stuff? Absolutely not. If I can help it, if I'm stuck in a room and I have to do it, I will. But to work with an engineer who I don't have to say anything to,
Right.
except in specifics, like when I say more 2K,
Right.
but for the most part, I don't have to worry about the sound. All I have to do is concentrate on the performance. As you saw when we were doing vocals.
Yeah.
I sit there, you're doing your thing, the vocals sound great, and I'm just concentrating on, okay, we got to form this a little bit more, especially when you're dealing with an artist that doesn't speak English.
Right.
It gets a bit hairy.
We're working with a French band presently.
Oui. We are indeed. But their English is not too bad, but their pronunciation sometimes can be mind-boggling. You don't understand a word at all.
Yeah, there's certain consonants that they don't pronounce in French, so we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is I'm so lucky to be doing this. You are too. You were really lucky.
I'm really, really
because
lucky.
you're here. In this country.
English and in America, where people still actually care somewhat about guitars.
Yeah. 99.9% of people in the world do a job that they can't wait to get home from.
Yeah.
And this is home for me. And you.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is your home.
This is my home.
But anywhere there's a studio, I make it my home. I take off my shoes and everybody smells my feet.
Literally.
Yeah. But it's great. It's changing, but it as long as you can change with it,
right?
Then you can have longevity. If you try to buck progress,
right,
you're going to be Phil Spector,
sure,
going mad.
Right.
So you have to move with it in the technology, the business, the whole thing.
I mean, what I love, and firstly, is there's no substitute for experience.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no substitute. Because what you're talking about is being able to sit back and just go, just that, just do this, just do that. My experience coming up as an engineer, I worked with so many producers that would just keep doing takes and had, how can I be diplomatic, lack of focus. Nobody knew, let alone the singer, why we were doing 57 vocal takes.
Yeah, insecurity.
Yeah, and that's sort of, I think,
producer insecurity.
Yeah, the producer was feeling like unless the singer, I'm guessing, unless the singer was doing all these takes, they wouldn't feel like they were being worked. But like you're saying, I mean, all the records that anybody ever holds up as being great records were done on 4 tracks, sometimes just 2 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 8, maybe 16, maybe 24. But whatever. Even when I was making records on 24 track, we had 3 takes. We could do 3 vocal takes and then comp to 1 track. Even on 24 track, that's all we had. And that was in early 90s. Even.
Yeah, it's enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's enough. And if the singer knows that, then, he's not going to go, well, let's do 18 tracks and put one together. And you know what? That syllable is better than the one I had in take. The takes in 27 is a better S than the one in 16. You know what? Really, it's madness. It's madness. I do really enjoy the freedom of this, Absolutely. But it has to be used as a tool, and then, like you find the art in putting things together, without creating a sterility in the track. Still letting it breathe, making the corrections that have to be made, listening. That's important. being present also is important when you're doing when you're doing a project, and really tuning in. I'll be sitting back there, and I might be picking my nose, but I'm absolutely focused on listening to something, and
Right.
hearing little minute things that sometimes I like and I don't want to mess with, and other
Right.
times it's a little shady. But Pro Tools is amazing. I like Clasp. I like tape. There are projects that call for tape, call for Clasp, call for Pro Tools, and
Right.
call for a 4-track cassette.
Yeah.
Just go direct into cassette. But I don't know. What else you want to talk about? Lunch? I brought my lunch.
We're having salads, so
Oh,
it's still on
after
the
the
New
holidays.
Year
Oh, God.
sort of salad time here. I mean, you probably this is probably not probably this is probably better than anything else, because I'm sure you've been asked the same questions 47,000 times.
Mm.
This is the reality stuff. Because what we do every day is, like you said, it's the best job in the world because we love it. I actually saw a Jim Carrey quote the other day. What was it? Like, oh God, I hate paraphrasing, but it was something like, it was something about doing what you love, because I wish I could remember the exact quote. I mean, the reality is like, why throw your life into something you absolutely hate and then wake up one day resenting it? I feel like, we're blessed to do this. Not that it was easy, especially not, my personal experience was like, banging my head against a brick wall for many, many years till I was actually able to.
I could see that.
Yeah, exactly. That's all the white here. Yeah. I didn't get married and have a family till late.
Yeah.
Considerably later than
Yeah.
my kids are little, and I'm not 21 anymore. 22, 25. Yeah. I mean, the reality is like, you know what I mean. It was a long struggle, but I never gave up wanting to just do this only for a living.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would be something for somebody to watch and be maybe turned off. I think for me, it's like what we're talking about. There's no right way or wrong way to do what we do.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can be at this a year, call yourself a producer,
Right.
make a track. Wow, it's a hit.
Yeah.
Somebody raps over it, and you have a castle in the
Right.
in the hills.
Yeah.
But you don't know why or how.
Yeah.
Or you can work your way into this thing. It took me 12 years, maybe
Right.
14,
Right.
to really get someplace. But I worked hard because I was obsessed with having to be involved with music. I knew very early that my life was about music.
Right.
And lucky for me, I had parents who encouraged me not to be a musician, but to be whatever I wanted to be and whatever my passions were, and not to take some dumb job. So, the hard work pays off. It
Right.
really does. I mean, you really, really have to do the stuff that seems meaningless. So before you've had your big hit and your house on the hill, maybe you've gone for coffee for the artist. Maybe you've cleaned up tracks for people. And then after you did that, cleaned up the studio. So you have some respect for what you do. I think the long, slow way in is the best. And
I agree.
and it's also fun, and it also gives you a chance to observe. For me, I worked as an assistant engineer and as an engineer, but particularly as an assistant engineer for a long time. I got to watch what worked and what didn't work.
Right.
And there were guys that like Bill Simzik, who was
Oh yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
the James Gang and the Eagles.
Oh,
And
the
the guy, I
Eagles.
would be assisting him and watching how how he managed to get all this happening, and it was all so easy.
Yeah.
And with such good humor, and with his feet up on the console every once in a while, laughing. And then there were other guys and who were just uptight and weren't having any fun, and you couldn't wait to finish a session with them. But oh my God, get him out of here! A guy like Simzik, you could go 20 hours if you wanted to go 20 hours. It was a joy. And there were guys that were showmen. There was Kit Lambert. He was a showman. There was there was a lot of show business, and some of that is very valuable.
Right.
This is show business, and he was very theatrical. And there was guys like Ezrin, who was very musically astute, and really the importance of building the harmonic structure of a song.
Right.
Important stuff, which I know you know, because as a guitar player, you and me as a bass player. So it's funny because you build from there down.
Yeah.
I build from here up.
We were just saying a lot of the great producers, even the newer ones, I say newer, 80s on, were all bass players.
Bass player, but being a player is very helpful, and having an ear is very helpful. And then there was Phil Spector, who was my hero at one time.
Right.
And then I worked with him, and I saw that he was struggling because the times have changed. Like I said, you've got to stay with the times. But for him, he was a producer in the classic sense, that he put the right people together in a room and he mixed it up, and that was it.
Right.
Producing was changing when I met him, and producers were active in the process. And he wasn't. He wasn't an actor.
Do you think that George Martin changed that dynamic?
Oh, absolutely.
He was kind of responsible for it?
Yeah, I remember listening to, I listened to all the people, but starting with Sgt. Pepper and through to the White Album, studying those albums and what George was doing, and realizing that is a very, very different kind of production.
Right.
There was Phil, and there was that big wall of sound, and it sounded great. And there were all those great Motown records. But that seemed like another kind of production. But this was George's production. It seemed interactive in a way, because it pulled you into the studio with them.
Right.
And you could hear all these things going on. It's funny how he was a huge influence.
And he played keys on all of those songs.
He was a master arranger. And I got to know him very well, and he helped me quite a bit in the early 70s. Working at Air Studios with him, and him bringing equipment in. He said, I use this on this album, and I use this piece of equipment on this. And, oh, God.
That stuff is so inspirational when you're working a session. The fact that you can relay and go, we should move the mic like this, because this is how I recorded. I mean, as an artist, they just lap that stuff up.
Right.
If they're feeling confident because you can bring that to a session, you're only going to improve.
Oh, everything. And working at Record Plant with people like, in particular, Roy Cicala, who was a mentor to so many of us, to Shelley Ackes and Jay Messina, and to me, and to Jimmy Iovine, and just Tom Panunzio and Greg Calby, and just countless people that he just showed how to do it without ever taking a bow himself.
Yeah.
And made those absolutely delicious, gorgeous sounding.
Records.
And especially with Mind Games.
Mind Games is incredible,
Just incredible. And the mix on Imagine.
Yeah. Oh, you told me the story about the tape.
15 IPS across the whole stereo bus.
Right at the end, he just decided to try.
Just to add 15 delay to everything.
The whole mix.
The whole mix,
Go back and listen to it now,
and
knowing that.
And the how he EQ'd that his delays. And we don't have that. You have something that's very important here, and probably with this program, which is a sense of mentoring.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
that's so important. It's so important. The guys that come in here and girls that come in here and work in this room with you, and and the program that you're doing here. But God, don't let them get
Don't let him become
You're like a
professional.
pro. Can it be produced almost like a pro? Almost like a pro, but not really, you know. Because they'll start to take themselves very seriously. Well, that's about it. I think we should get to work.
I want
strawberries to pick.
Strawberries to pick. I want just to top and tail what you were saying. One of the most important moments of my musical career, and I won't get teary-eyed. Well, maybe I will. Was when we were at Capitol.
Oh, that was wonderful, wasn't it?
And it was.
And your name was up on the parking space.
Oh, that was all fantastic.
Yeah.
That was amazing because we had like the first 3 parking spaces were Jack Douglas, Warren Hewitt, and Steven Tyler. I think in that order.
Yeah.
I think Steven was last. Like 1, 2, 3. No, the best moment was obviously mixing the song, but then knowing that Phil Ramone was in.
We went in and we spoke to him.
We went, and it was only a handful of weeks before he died.
Yes.
And it wasn't because it's a big moment because I got to meet Phil Ramone just before he died. Of course, that's an important thing. But we go in there, and he's doing a string date, and we walk in, and he's got the chart out, and he's got holding it himself with the string arranger, and he's like pointing, and he's like singing the melody and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I remember just turning to Jack and going, oh, well, there's a real producer.
Yeah.
I'm like a guy that can read the chart, and he's got the arranger in there, and changing the arrangement, and I'm just like, that's...
Yeah.
What can I say? It's like a whole different level, We're sitting there with our Pro Tools, and I'm manipulating this, and I'm doing... But ultimately...
That Phil was that crossover guy from back in the 50s, just an incredible... And he mentored Roy Cicala.
Right.
So, that was a school of thought and a philosophy of recording that took place in New York. The masters. There was a philosophy for London. There was a philosophy for, and there were great guys and brilliant engineers who created that. And there was one for New York, and there was one for Los Angeles, and probably for Memphis and.
Sure.
Although it's quite different, Memphis and Nashville they're closer together. It was a little bit different, but we always would study what came in from London. We found it so different,
right.
And talking to people in London, they found our stuff so different and interesting. What we were doing, and L.A. too. I mean, it was different.
But we were talking about it a couple of days ago. As different as New York and London were, the sensibilities were so similar.
Yeah, absolutely. L.A. a little bit different.
Yeah, I think...
Slap a mic up and see if it works.
Right. I think for New York...
But great rooms.
Great, fantastic.
So that helped.
Yeah. But I think for the bands, the artists, because if we borrowed obviously in the 60s from all of the black artists from the 50s, with the blues boom in England and everything, all came from that. So, was it Mike Bloomfield said that the English took American music and sold it back to the Americans?
Oh, absolutely. That's, I went to Liverpool in the early 60s because I wanted to know how what they were doing, how they were spinning it back to us. What was it that was happening there that made our music so different there? Right. And the first thing I heard was that the radio was different.
Right.
I mean, pirate radio.
Right.
Was that they were able to hear on the radio things that we didn't. Our own music. Yeah. Because it was black.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get to hear it.
Radio Caroline.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to listen to that. I don't know what day it was. Maybe it was a Tuesday, maybe it was a Wednesday. And they would just do Beatles all day.
Yeah, I was out on a boat there.
Yeah, I was out on a boat.
Irish Sea. Anyway.
Yep. Thank you, Jack.
See you, kids.
I really appreciate it.